Hey there, friends, and welcome back to Carpo's channel. That's me. Why do I say Carpo's channel instead of my channel? I don't know. Because that's who I am, and that's what I do, and that's what I've been doing for 10 freaking years on this channel. And all the while, I've always asked myself, why do I make YouTube videos? There have been times where I've shared informative videos, times where I've just shared videos about life in general and philosophy, times when I've been a little bit cynical, and yeah, for sure. I've changed over the years a little bit because everyone does. And a decade of my life has passed since I started posting videos. When I looked the other day, I think I have about 4,300 videos uploaded. That's a lot of videos. I'm not bragging about it. It's actually kind of a facepalm. Like, what are you doing with your time? But in this time, I benefited so much from talking with all of you. I just wanted to stop to say thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to the people who stick with me. You know, I was actually watching a video this morning from one of the quote creators, content creators. And the funny thing is, he's an artist, and I've been following him since early on his channel. His name's Struthless, and he's an artist who talks about. He got into kind of just talking about life in general, and I love some of the points he covers. Some of the same shit I went through. I'd say he's in his 30s, I think, and he's exactly it reminds me so much of the way that I thought at that point in time, and that I still do, but hitting these realizations that what really matters, we talk about content online. We have lost all semblance of actually calling it art or videos or, paintings or drawings. It's content to be consumed. And that may sound cynical, but I'm going to get into why that's true, and why it's a problem. I'm not going to sit here and inundate you with social media dopamine hits and how we know that when we click, click, click and scroll, 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 it's an endless array of, yeah, 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 it's exciting. What's the next best thing? Social media has sucked us in. And as I was going to say, when I started this channel, YouTube was a completely different world. I was talking about prepping for an emergency or an apocalypse, but I also shared some of my music and band stuff and travels and things I did at work. Some of my early videos were me on the job site doing carpentry, and I have evolved to a point where now I'm just talking about the same old shit. Like some channels will start from just talking about one thing and move to something completely different. And I think that's great because it shows a person's shift in interests. But here's where it gets interesting. Today, we've totally fucked ourselves because people aren't making content that moves them. They aren't talking about subjects that are interesting. They are talking about whatever the algorithm wants. They're talking about whatever they can say to get into, the hot topic of the day. And it gets very complicated because sometimes people need to talk about a daily, something that's going on in the modern world. But others say, oh, well, you're just trying to buy into this and capitalize on it when it's actually an important issue. But a lot of the time, it's really just some stupid trend. Let's jump in on the ice bucket challenge, or let's jump in on this meme or that meme, and let's talk about this topic because we know it's popular and we know people will get upset about it, what they call rage bait. But all that aside, social media really is a distraction from our daily lives. And as I said, when a person would say, you have a YouTube channel, you're on social media, I thought about this a lot. Now, in my opinion, YouTube is not the same. Social media is a word. You can define it however you like. But in my mind, when I consider social media, I consider it a place where people go and they can post pictures or comments and talk about those said pictures or comments. And that's what Facebook is, that's what Twitter is, that's what Instagram is. And a lot of the apps surround faceless, kind of nameless discussions. Whereas YouTube, I'm sitting here talking to you face to face. Even if a person chooses to just record their voice, they still have to take the time to edit and put it over other content. In other words, usually to get views on YouTube, you have to have content that people actually find interesting in some way, shape, or form. And On Facebook or Twitter, you can just be a hack job. Just post something angry about Trump or about politics or about COVID, and all of a sudden you've got a million people on your side and a million people against you. And that's something I've always made my best effort to avoid. Controversial topics just for the sake of being controversial. And there's a lot of narcissism out there about being right or virtue signaling or being in some group or another. But Facebook has lost its luster long ago. I think I deleted my account 2 to 3 years ago. But since then, I've been very grateful to see the decline in interest in things like that, because I think people are getting through the honeymoon phase. Twitter, on the other hand, is nothing but a cesspool for toxic arguments because it's all just words. So let me explain what I mean here. When Facebook lost its luster, it's the same way, and I've talked about the 80s in the past, and I think the 80s was the best generation, right? And I don't really mean that in the sense of they were the best people or the best times, but rather that's when I grew up. So to me, it was the best time. But I wanted to know why, even in retrospect, there's something about the 80s I really liked, and it's not just because I was a kid then. And I finally identified it as being a time when people were expressing themselves in new ways. I wore MC Hammer pants to school, those big ass baggy ones. Oh, but at the very bottom they were like super tight and they had elastic, so they would cuff around your socks, which would be exposed before your shoes. This shit was normal in the 80s. Take your jeans and fold them at the bottom and roll them up and wear acid washed pants. And it was a stupid time. It was a dorky time. And it was the greatest time because of that. Because people were wanting to step out and be different and be original. And I thought, and even at that time, the way that the 80s movies and the media, they talked about the future, the way that they looked at the future was not dystopian. It was actually exciting. I mean, sure, we had the Terminator, we had various movies that talked about a doom and gloom future, but in general, people thought about people wearing spacesuits and flying cars still. Move forward 20, 30 years, and here we are in a time where the future has looked at this dark, dreary world where the rich live separate from the poor, and everybody's fighting for their rights. Every movie, all the media talks about this shit, the problems that we're going to face. It's a reflection of how we actually feel, but at the same time, it's because we've lost that originality. But we've lost that originality because we've lost the ability to have a positive outlook on the future for humanity, in my opinion. And it's sad. And so when people say, oh, everyone's sitting there looking at their phone, you're like, oh, come on, it's not that bad. It is that bad. It is. Picking up my kids from school, every kid walking through the parking lot, just mindlessly scrolling on their phone. Look at the fucking world around you, people. Deleting, we're all addicts. So it's not like I'm sitting here scolding people saying, turn off your social media. You shouldn't look at this. That's not the thing. The point here is that I want to encourage people to, on their own, want to abandon these things. The first step is to delete the apps on your phone. Hands down. Get rid of Instagram, get rid of Facebook, get rid of Twitter. If you have any of those on your phone, my advice, for what it's worth, would be to delete them from your phone and only utilize them through the computer. Because what you'll find after a period of time is that it's the same old shit. You don't even care about it on your computer anymore. When it's the second thing, and I think I should have said the first thing, the most crucial thing, is disable all notifications. I realize a lot of YouTubers tell you, hit that bell icon. Don't hit the bell icon. Go look for shit on your own terms. When you want to go to YouTube and look for something, look for it. When you want to go to Twitter. But don't have beeps going off on your phone and vibrations. If you're getting notified from every Facebook post, that's really just a horrendous waste of time, in my opinion. And because most of them are mindless. We know this. So turn it off. Hell, I don't even answer my phone. My friends know this, but I think to get into the deeper aspects of why this is a problem is because it's not necessarily even about the way that we talk or the way we interact, but what do we share? And the sad fact is that most people these days want to share things either about themselves, to talk about their lives, which I've always found weird. When people talk about social media, they're like, oh, they post these Instagram or Facebook posts about all the great things they're doing. I've never had an intention of ever making anyone else jealous about my life. It's always been like, look at this thing I've discovered. And my intention has always been to share information with other people that I think will benefit them. But sure, there's a little bit of me in there because here I am talking to you face to face to camera. But the fact that I do like talking with other people, but it's not necessarily being approved of that is my desire. It's just conversation and discourse and listening to other people's opinions as well. So it's like, do we talk about our lives, or just life in general? And that's a big difference on how we handle social media. It's, in other words, the look at me versus let's learn. And there's another aspect that I think is really important, is that it's not just about content, as they call it. It's content and personality. So you have channels where some of these, douchebag, kid channels, like, I won't even name them because I have young kids and they like some of these channels where guys just pay to fill their swimming pools with slime or fill their house with one thing or another, bouncy balls or McDonald's balls, and they're always sponsored by some company, brought to you by Carl's Jr. We finally, in the 80s at least, had hoped we could escape in the future with this promise of technology, escape the advertising world. But instead, we found that humans are they will sponsor anything that makes them money. Everyone's a sellout. It's pretty sad. It really is. I mean, sure, I can imagine if I was offered millions of dollars to mention one company, it would be hard to resist. But I gotta say, there's part of me, that realizes that the damage that's being done to society by this really isn't worth the payment. When you have these kids channels sponsoring McDonald's, it's disgusting to me. It's absolutely gross. And I feel like it's the same old shit, catered crap. I mean, we know YouTube's changed, but... So yeah, maybe 80s was the peak of originality. And everything's become a little more drab after that. But I've thought about it from another angle. During good times, we're more likely to open up and branch out. During tough times, we descend into tribalism. And through tribalism comes conformity. If your political party, your religious group, or your social group believes a certain thing, then you better either believe that too, or just shut your mouth. Because never, like today, can you not have your own opinion and talk about it. It's pretty absurd. It's disgusting, in fact. A lot of people have lost friends over this shit, like fighting about politics. Really? Everybody has a disagreement, but I feel like it's much deeper than that. Social media is allowing us to go lash out and find groups that all agree with us, and I think it's bullshit. I really do. And I think it's better to abandon all of that crap. But that's me. But one of the most confounding issues is self-censorship for the mighty algorithm. Even me, when I sit back and I want to say fuck, but I don't want to overuse the word fuck. Not for the sake that fuck is a bad word, or that it makes me look dumb to just say fuck. But when I say fuck, now I've said it like 7-8 times, now this channel or this video will get either demonetized or suppressed and pushed down on the algorithm, which is fine. That's the point I want to make, because I don't usually put ads on any of my videos. The only ones I did were my old ones, because YouTube basically said, we're going to do it anyway if you don't. So, everybody wants their money. We're still living in a money-hungry society. We don't have our flying cars. We don't have any of these promised futuristic awesomenesses. All we have is these stupid little screens in front of us where we can sit and look at what other people are doing and talking about and pretend like it matters. And we've lost content. You know what I mean? It's like we've sacrificed quality for content. And like I said, that was what that Struthless video was about this morning. It was about how hard it is to be called a content creator. And I agree, what a dumb fucking idea. Content creator. Okay, what does that even mean? You create content. No, you either make philosophy videos, or you make stop motion animation videos, or maybe you do podcasts or scary stories. Everybody does something different on YouTube. And that's why it's different than other social media, because it takes time, it takes effort. It's not the same. It takes time, effort, or balls to sit in front of the camera and actually talk about life, because you're going to get feedback you don't like and you disagree with. Fortunately, there are some benefits here and good side. It's made me stronger personally. All the trolls I've seen over the years, I've completely learned how to handle those people. And that translates into daily life. You can carry that on and realize, wow, these people exist in the world. And one of the most valuable lessons is there's no changing some people's minds. And really, there's no reason to change people's minds. The best thing you can do is just avoid controversial topics with people who are intense about it and let it go, because it doesn't really fucking matter anyway. People think what they think. So I think by abandoning some of these stupid verbal arguments we have, whether in text form or sending stupid memes to Twitter and pretending like they're deep or insightful, it's better for us to maybe just have face-to-face conversations. But another thing I've learned is that many people can't have face-to-face conversations. They're unable to do so. That's why the internet gives them an outlet to dump on other people, or to, pull some cynical bullshit. I guess the only thing we can really hope for is to be authentic in our lives. And I would urge all of you to be as authentic as possible. Do whatever it takes to get through your life, as long as it doesn't involve harming other people or bullshitting people. You don't need to sell them a Dollar Shave Club. You don't need to sell them a hair growing program or any of the other bullshit, or earbuds, or any of the crap that a lot of the YouTubers, for example, are willing to sell out to. And I hate to call that out, but it's true. These Raycon headphones, for example, you see on these ads, they're fucking garbage, complete fucking garbage. And so many of the programs, like these VPNs that people sell, it just goes through these trends, and originality has been lost. Social media is dying because of greedy people. And I think it's fair to call people greedy when they've already made millions and they're still, selling out to stupid companies. But that's another point altogether. I think even if you're not a millionaire, that's not the point. Even if you're just trying to scrape by, I understand taking payments from the company, but if it's something you don't actually use or stand by or don't even believe in, you're lying to your people. And a shitload of YouTubers and social media in general are lying to their viewers and their subscribers and the people who are their supporters. And that's unfortunate, but I've found that people don't care. It's almost like people want to be lied to. They just don't care. Weird world to live in. I don't know what to think about any of it. I'm trying to do things right and be original and do my own thing. I don't, of course, make money on YouTube or ads, but then again, I've used YouTube to boost my businesses before. I mean, when I had the creative business, which I still do, but during the time when it was okay to talk about it on YouTube, I did great. I met a lot of different people, and I met a lot of customers, and it was wonderful. And I'm hoping to utilize social media for the same thing. And that's the point. It's still selfish, because if you have a following, you want to use it to promote your own business. Like, I've started building guitars. I've got this bass guitar that I just finished yesterday. Look at that shine. Ooh, yeah. I'm not quite done. It's still got some work, but I've got to finish the neck and do one more coat on it. But eventually I'll start selling these online. I got this other one, my other acoustic. Electric. I was thinking about my acoustic that I wanted to make. That was my ultimate goal. And this is based on my ESP model, and it's got a nice shine too. A little belly curve there. So eventually I'll put these up for auction. And I know that having a YouTube channel and a social media presence in general will help benefit me in putting them up for sale and auction. The reason I mention this is because there's an irony here, because I don't have Facebook or Instagram, and I know that I probably should if I'm going to be selling things that I need to take pictures of. It just makes sense. So I try to find a way around that. I guess the final discussion here would be, it's okay to use these social media sites as long as we aren't clicking on them and getting constant notifications and having our life disrupted. I think humans need to get back into the zone. When I say the zone, I mean being able to work for at least an hour or two without being interrupted by phone calls, by messages, texts, emails. These things break our cycle of thinking, our cycle of focus. So when I'm out working, I put my phone on airplane mode and I just get to work and do my thing, which I'm getting ready to go do right now. The video's already been too long. See, I'm wasting time on social media. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all next time. Be well. Be original. Be authentic. Just be yourself and fuck the haters. Do your thing. Don't worry about monitoring your social media. Nothing important's going to happen on it. It's much better to just take some time off for our brains. And that's my opinion. Peace out.